Do your emotions control you, or do you control your emotions? When I think about this, I look back at all of the times in my life where I've let my emotions control me, because they have for a lot of time in my life. Especially now that I'm becoming more aware of how I react to certain situations, to certain sort of pre programmed or old emotional habits that I have, certain reactions that I have to certain people, like especially my parents. Sometimes I can just feel how my mind sort of clicks into autopilot. It's almost as if no matter how hard I try, it just isn't it isn't for me to do anything with it, if that makes sense. I know that I'm the only one who can control it, but in the moment when those emotions are running the show, it's just so difficult. It's incredibly difficult when, for an example, my dad told me that it was my time to clear off the snow outside, and I got unreasonably angry, like pissed off. I felt almost like, I can't explain it properly, but I just got pissed off at the way that he said it. And in reality, I knew that it was my turn. I knew that I was the one who was going to do it, but I wasn't emotionally prepared because I hadn't been waking up that early for that many days. I hadn't been that consistent. And this day I felt particularly tired, like exhausted, kind of tired. So when I was just properly getting ready for a normal workout, and my dad just goes, "Yeah, it's your turn." My mind just sort of, it flipped. It went into some form of survival mode, or I guess some form of like deep down anger that I've had to use in my childhood, I suppose. Because I could tell for the entire duration that I was shoveling snow, I was pissed off. Like, I was angry. But why? Like, this entire time I was aware of it. I couldn't stop it. And I even actively, like, tried to make myself switch. I was telling myself that I should be grateful for this, that I get to shovel snow, that it has snowed outside. Because this winter has been super late. It was past New Year's when the snow hit. And so I don't know why I was angry. Well, technically, I do understand why. Like, it was that built in program that sort of just took over, but I didn't need to be. But in that moment, I let my emotions control me. And I don't blame myself for it because I understand why. And I could clearly tell that that emotional reaction was stronger than even I could control. It's probably gonna take me years until I can so much as slow it down when it kicks in. And it was probably that I wasn't prepared. I wasn't mentally prepared for that particular morning. And so it just, my brain sort of turned off and went into autopilot so that I didn't have to think. And I just did. And sure, it works because I could use that anger as a sort of fuel to push myself physically that morning, which otherwise I probably, like, I wouldn't have wanted to do that. I would have much rather just taken an easy workout and have been done with it, but I didn't get that choice. So, yeah. But that's one of those moments where I've really strongly felt how I have let my emotions control me, which I normally don't do. I normally try to be more aware, understand the why behind it, because otherwise you sort of feel like, especially when you're in a negative state, it sort of feels like everything's against you, doesn't it? You stub your toe and then something else goes wrong and then you forget something and just things keep piling on. It's almost as if the second that you hit a stumble or you fail with something, everything else just sort of falls apart. But it doesn't, not in reality. Because what I've noticed is that when you stub your toe and you let your emotion take over in that instance, instead of just saying, ouch, that hurt, and then moving on, letting go of it, seeing it as a single fact, you now basically think, why me? Why does this always happen to me? Why? And since you're asking why, your mind is the best supercomputer in the world. It tries to find the answers to your questions. So when you ask, why me? It'll hit you up with another one, being like, this is why. Because you do this. Because you fail like this. Because everything else happens like this. So in those moments when you feel like everything is going against you, in reality, it's your own doing. It's you staying in that position of a victim, of someone who experiences bad things. When you are someone who experiences bad things, more bad experiences come to you. If you were to flip that, which by no means is easy, then again, it's like when your brain goes into autopilot. It's really hard to stop. It's incredibly difficult. And usually it takes at least a while before you're able to calm yourself down enough to snap out of it, so to speak. But if you're aware and you understand that, okay, I'm in a negative state right now, I'm letting my emotions run the show, what can I do to change this? You can actually change it more than you think. And one of the first times that I realized this was back when I was in Iceland, because I was feeling so down. I'm like borderline depressed at that point. You're in the most beautiful landscape on earth. I'm with some of the best people in my life, some of the best friends I had back then. And still I felt lonely. I felt sad, basically depressed. I felt like, everything was wrong, even though it was right. Like everything should have felt better, but it didn't for some reason. It was just strange. And what I realized was that it was because I was looking at it from the wrong perspective. Because I was asking the wrong questions to myself. I was sitting there asking, why do I feel so bad? And guess what my mind did? It showed me why I felt so bad by giving me more examples of bad things that have happened to me or that I'm feeling right now. But when I sort of, in that moment, I made an experiment because I was like, there's no way that I can just sit here and let this keep going, because I don't want this trip to be ruined for me. So I did something that at the time felt so stupidly simple, but I figured that if it could work, then maybe it isn't so difficult to change after all. So the only thing that I kept repeating in my head when I realized the position that I was in was, I'm happy, or I'm positive. I gave that affirmation to myself, and I kept repeating it. And in the beginning, yeah, it felt wrong. Like, it didn't feel like I was positive. So it felt like, okay, I'm sort of putting a coat on, and I'm like pretending to be something I'm not. And over time, as I repeated it more and more, and I'm like, yeah, I am kind of positive. Then I repeated it some more, and it's like, yeah, I can see it now. I can see it now. I'm like, yeah, the mountains, they look pretty good. And like, yeah, the grass, it's pretty green. And it's like you started noticing like small things. And soon enough, I felt good. I felt better. It wasn't magical, but over time, just from that affirmation alone, just from I'm positive, I'm happy, I became that. I started embodying what I told myself that I was. And I could have probably done the same thing by asking myself questions like, why does everything feel so good to me? Why do good things always happen to me? Why am I always a positive person? Things like that. Because you see, compare that to, why do bad things always happen to me? I'm like, what is your brain looking for? If your brain's a GPS, what coordinates are you putting in it? Because I know that before, I've put in so many bad coordinates that have gotten me nowhere good. And it's only when I've become aware of the emotional state that I'm in and how that affects me, the sort of trajectory that you go on, the journey your brain takes you through, is when I've started to really deliberately change it. And these days, I go even further than that, because I've started listening to I am affirmations in the car to and from work, because I know that the days when I don't, I just know that I'm like, I go semi unconscious. When you drive to work, you don't think. Not really, anyway. And your mind has a way of just drifting to the problems, the people, the things that are not good. For some reason, at least my brain seems to sort of be a heat-seeking missile that wants to solve problems in a way. And so it doesn't focus on what's working. It focuses on what's not working. So it focuses more on the bad than the good. And it never gets me anywhere positive, sadly enough. So just putting those affirmations on, when I sort of just pause for a second and I hear those playing, you sort of snap out of it. And you're sort of like, oh yeah, right, I shouldn't be thinking negative, because I should be positive. And so I can be, if I want to. It's a choice. So, do your emotions control you, or do you control your emotions? Ask yourself that question and look at the things in your life. Look at how you feel on a daily basis. Become aware of what trajectory your brain takes you on. Do you normally go down these rabbit holes of why everything goes wrong? Because I know that I've been there far too many times. I still go there sometimes. It's not easy when you dive in, but you can snap out of it if you make the decision to. If you make a deliberate decision to be a little crazy, do some affirmations, and choose to be positive, you can be. I know that I want to be, and so that's why I make that choice every day. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I'm not saying that it's easy, but you can control your emotions more than you think you can. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.